Hey, Chris Liepe here with special guest Lukas Magyar from the band Veil of Maya with the easy way to safe distortion in screams.
Hell yeah.
Wake! Wake! It's chasing me down! I need to outrun this blood!
If you want to work more with Lukas and discover how you can put some extreme, aggressive sounds in your voice without trashing it and being able to do these things for the long haul over extended periods of time, click the link below and join the free Warmups course.
Lukas Magyar's Warmups to outrun vocal fatigue. We like to start with a buzzer exercise, which is essentially just going to help you understand how to create this sound really easily, kind of as a sound effect. And that sounds a little bit like this.
There's all sorts of ways that I could place that. Walk me through how exactly you're placing that.
Sure. So I like to focus on the distortion being up here, kind of in the cheekbones, and less down in like the neck area.
Okay.
Sounds a little nasally.
Okay. So as opposed to it's not a grunt, it's a buzzer. Okay.
Yep. So spend some time with that, get comfortable with it, make sure that it's something that you can go to time and time again consistently. So if you were like, hey, Lukas, do the buzzer exercise, I'm like, and it's pretty much going to be in the spot that I want it to be in every single time.
So you're contextualizing it like, hey, Lukas, like work it in like that so you're not having to think too much about it.
Yeah,
right?
you want it to just be easy. And that's kind of the first step is just make sure you can create that sharp, gritty sound just anytime.
Okay. What's the next step?
From there, now we have to make it sound musical, right? Because you don't really want to put that into a song. People aren't really going to want to listen to it that way. So now we got to mess around with the facial structure and things to make sure that it sounds like we're singing. So get into the buzzer sound and then just reshape and reposition your mouth and tongue and just kind of see where it leads you.
So that's a huge question that I get from people a lot is, well, I can make stupid sounds that feel okay, but as soon as I start to make it musical, I can't. It starts to feel bad. How do you contextualize it into music and still have it feel okay?
Almost by not forcing it into context too soon. So making the buzzer and then jumping into trying to produce that within the context of a song might be a little bit tricky for some people. I would start with just the vowels themselves. A, E, I, O, right? That's like the buzzer exercise with the vowels.
Got it. Okay. Keeping it nasal, right? Keeping it A, E, I, O, A, E, I. It's easy on A to let it drop, but we want to keep it A, E, I, O, So yeah, you're already starting to sort of create with it.
Ease more into the sound that is singing. And we essentially just add space here. Like if you watch, I'm going to take the E vowel sound, I'm going to execute the buzzer, and then I'm just going to add space here, and you'll be able to see and watch what it does to the sound. E. So I still have that distortion in there, but all of a sudden the vowel is nice and rounded. You're getting a little bit more like present bass in there.
It got
it's not
more
so sharp and nasally.
Yeah, it's not so sharp and nasally, but it's actually a little bit more mild too. Like it automatically sounds more musical. So you go to an extreme to get the sensation, and then you sort of dial back the extreme. And I feel like when I heard you do it, and as I was sort of emulating what you were doing, I not only changed here, but I had this idea of like, I'm gonna back off on the effect and be just a little bit more of a vocalist. And the byproduct of that was that I felt like I was pushing less, a little bit less. Is that in the ballpark?
From the core or from up here?
Well, I felt like I was engaging this in a different way that allowed me to exude less energy, sort of fall into my voice instead of push as much as I was doing with the sound effect. Like,
sure. Yep.
Right? Versus, like I'm actually more relaxed as I dial it back.
Sure, yeah. Yeah, I think it's easy for people to assume that I need to create distortion, which is usually pretty loud when we create it, so I need to really just yell and give it everything I have in order to create it. But you can create distortion in a very controlled manner.
So as you're working to make this more musical, you actually will take it to real music, but in a non-threatening way. Walk us through that.
Yeah, so again, from the bass, start with the buzzer, then try to round out the vowel sound, and then see what happens when you do put it into a phrase. So those steps would look something like this. Raise, raise. All right, I can take it a little higher. Raise, raise. So I'm kind of fluctuating the pitch, but I'm kind of staying in the same ballpark just to get an idea of how it feels and how it moves. Because that's another important thing is when I go up, where am I going to find that sound? Because it might not always be where you think it's going to end up when you change the pitch.
And then as you connect it to other musical phrases that aren't focused particularly on distortion, it becomes exponentially more musical.
Yeah, you can go in and out of that dynamic. Raise from your lifeless avatar.
This is really key. What he did there was focus on making the distorted sound in all the balances that he's created. And then he went back into sort of normal singing. So as you're dialing this stuff in, let yourself compartmentalize like that. Experiment with the sound, be extreme with it, be kind of silly with it and extreme with it. Then attach it to singing you already do and you already know well. And then over time, as you practice dialing back this and dialing up your comfortable singing, you fuse the two approaches. This is safe. This is surefire. This is how it works. And it's non-threatening. How does this relate to more extreme sounds, like the second sample we heard you do earlier?
Go from ah to ah. Ah. Okay, now go from one to the other.
Okay,
Nice.
It actually feels like as I'm opening it up and moving the placement around, that the resonation is going back. The resonance is going.
Seems to be how I sense it a lot too.
Okay.
It's just more aggressive, louder sounds kind of move backward.
Okay, so walk us through that progression now.
Okay, so I'm gonna kind of give it 3 stages: light, moderate, and then just all the way.
Okay.
And I'll separate them, and then I'll just glide between all of them.
Okay. Okay. So you're almost removing the voice. Do you work off of a higher bass pitch?
I always encourage people to just go with what's easiest to produce. So in there, I was kind of going off of the context of the song.
Which was a higher pitch.
Yeah. Hey, 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 hey. And some people do need the note first to kind of reference. So like you just take any note that you can sing and okay, apply the buzzer to it so you get a little bit of distortion. Okay, cool, I can do that. All right, now make that extreme. Yep.
Okay.
If you'd like to explore these sounds and my approach even more, click the link below and join our free course, Lukas Magyar's Warmups to Outrun Vocal Fatigue.
We'll see you for more.